Will, thank you very much for joining us on this catch-up call. I appreciate your time. I know you're not exactly massively busy, but still. I just want to talk to you really about your Albion career. For those maybe younger fans that have only recently started watching and may not know who you are, Will scored possibly the most significant goal the Amex has seen. He turned what was looking like a rather miserable opening first game at the Amex into a very joyous occasion that we still talk about. Your goal's still shown every week on the big screen before
Is
every
it?
game, and you really wrote yourself into folklore there with those two goals. I actually think the first one gets ignored
Yeah.
because the second one obviously won the game.
Yeah.
Before we touch on that goal, can you just tell me what attracted you to joining the Albion?
I remember at the time, obviously I was at Watford at the time, and Brighton had just been promoted from League One. I think Gus had been there maybe a year. Did he get promoted in the first year, I think?
It was about 18 months, I think.
Yeah.
A bit
So
longer.
it was kind of, there was a lot of talk and a lot of noise coming from Brighton at the time with getting moving into the new ground at the start of the season that I joined. And just a real up and coming club, kind of trying to get back to where they wanted to be and where they believed they belonged. And I think obviously Tony Bloom had the vision even back then of where they wanted to get to. And there's not many owners that kind of put their heart into it the way he has done. So I think you could see straight away when they got promoted. He was linked with some good players as well. Craig McHale-Smith obviously signed when I signed as well. So they were really up and coming and looking like they were going in the right direction, and obviously it's proved that way. But yeah, it was just kind of a feel good factor, and as soon as they said they were interested in me, my heart was set on going there and starting a new part of my career, really.
Did you understand just how big a deal it was that the club was moving into the Amex, or did you just think it was a team getting a stadium and just moving from an old one to a new one?
Yeah, I obviously knew it was a big deal with obviously not having the ground for so long and playing at the Withdean, and where else did they play, at Gillingham or somewhere like that?
Gillingham, Priestfield for 2 years, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was, I knew it was a big thing, but when I'd signed and then, the build up to the ground being ready and stuff like that really hit home, and obviously the first game was the emotion that people were showing. Just, I don't even think obviously the result helped, but I think just the occasion of the day was unbelievable from start to finish. Just the expenditure of emotion that was coming out from some of the fans. Like even when we was warming up, you could see people crying and getting emotional and stuff like that. So it hit home that day even more than ever on the first day, how much it meant to people. Yeah.
Did you feel a lot of pressure? Well, if you've seen that in the stand, in the warm-up, did the pressure kind of ramp up on you and the rest of the team?
I don't think so, no, weirdly not. I think we just, the lads who have been there for a long time as well have kind of gone through all that as well. So it was just kind of a relief that they'd got there, and, it was just people looking forward to the future then, I think. And, for some of the new players that were coming in, it was more like, what a stadium anyway. Just the fact it was the new home, but what a stadium to be playing in every week, and everyone was just excited, really. Obviously, we had the game to open it, didn't we, against Tottenham? I think it was the week earlier. So I think that was good to kind of probably get the nerves away as well. It was, it's our second time there in a game. And obviously, it was the first home game of the season, but we played there and we'd done it then. So I think it took the pressure off a little bit of going into the new stadium. So I think that was a good idea, and it was just more excitement than anything, rather than anyone being nervous, I think.
You mentioned the Withdean. Did you ever get the joy of playing there? I know you didn't play for Albion.
No, I never did. No, I never even played there as a visiting team. But after that, we trained there quite a bit. So I seen it after, and the difference is obviously quite easy to see.
Was it talked about around football, for people that didn't play for Brighton, about have you ever gone down and played at Withdean and what it was kind of like? Because it was very surreal in terms of the football grounds.
Yeah, I'd heard it a few times, people talk about it, and, players that had been at Brighton obviously didn't really enjoy playing there that much either. And then, like I say, when I trained there, it was just weird. It didn't feel like a football ground, did it? And it was to go into what the Amex and what we moved into was just the leap was ridiculous, really.
So into the game, it's not going according to plan against Doncaster. Billy Sharp scored, and then you've come on as a sub. What were you told when you went on? Go and score 2 goals?
I think basically, yeah. Just go on and try and make an impact. And obviously the way to do that is score goals. If you can't score, try and create something and make a goal. But yeah, I was just, obviously you know what your job is when you're coming on a sub. You need to change the game, especially when you're losing. So it was quite simple what the subs needed to do when we got on the pitch. But yeah, I just remember just warming up and just itching to get on with the atmosphere, and it just felt like it needed something, a bit of a change, and the gaffer made it at the right time. So yeah, I'll just go on and you're going on as a sub with nothing to lose. You're going on, losing the game. You just got to go on and try and make an impact, and yeah, luckily I managed that.
So talk us through the first goal. There's a superb goal, actually better than the second goal.
Yeah, it was. To be fair, that's the sweetest half volley or probably strike of a ball I've probably ever hit in my career, to be honest with you. I think we had a free kick deep. It got just kind of punted into the box. I think their defender won it. I think Maka went up for the challenge, which obviously kind of goes unrecognised, little things like that. He went up and made it difficult for the second clearance, and it just come bouncing to me. I think it bounced twice, and then I just thought, why not hit it? And yeah, like I say, the connection I got on it was one of them where you just don't feel it. It was so sweet off my foot, and I think it went through the defender's legs and right in the corner. So it was one of them where it might have been destined to go in, but it was just, it was an unbelievable feeling. And like you say, because it was only the equaliser, it probably does go unrecognised. But for me, it was probably one of the sweetest strikes of a ball I've ever hit.
Once that's gone in, what are you thinking? Are you thinking, right, this is ours to win, or was it we can't lose this opening game?
You know what? I didn't really have any thoughts of thinking we're going to win it or don't lose it. It was just the occasion just kind of took care of itself, I think. I think obviously the fans thought then, right, we're going to go on and win it, and the noise lifted, everything lifted. So I think it was more coming from outside rather than us players kind of thinking we was going to win it. I think it was just probably more relief when we got that goal to give the fans something to cheer about. You don't want to go to the opening game and get beat 1-0. It's not a good scoreline, is it? Even if you then go on to lose, at least the fans have had that, release of emotion and stuff like that. So yeah, it was probably more relief that we got the equaliser. But then, I think from the outside, the fans were like, this is it now. This is meant to be in a way, and obviously was. Well,
it kind of looked like it might happen, but then it got very, very, very late. I think it was 90 plus 7 or 8, depending on where you read that score.
Yeah.
Talk us through that moment of that second goal, because you just out of nowhere, great ball by Nooney, you're through on goal.
Yeah.
So what's going through your mind? Because you had a long time to make your mind up, didn't you?
Yeah. Like you say, it's 1997, 98. I don't think I realised at the time it was that late. It was probably one of the last kicks of the game. So it's probably good that I didn't realise it. It might have been a bit more pressure on me going through. But yeah, obviously Nooney, I've seen the goal so many times, watched it myself. And, Nooney does brilliant, kind of in and out of his feet. And I just kind of make a run kind of along the inside of the two centre-backs, I think. And Nooney, the ball's perfect into my stride. Yeah, and like I say, I had a lot of time, and it was just, I don't know, it was a weird feeling. It kind of went quiet, and I just opened my body, and it was kind of an easy finish in a way. Obviously with the pressure and that, it probably wouldn't seem like an easy finish, but it can't, with the ball the way it was and to go down the left-hand side where you can open up onto your right foot. It was kind of one of the easiest finishes that you can do, really. And I just took it well, and obviously the rest was history. So
you didn't look like you knew what to do when it came to the celebration. You kind of run off, but I think you just spin round, don't you?
Yeah, I think emotion just takes control there. I don't think there's any plans. Obviously, that's something you dream about the night before, with scoring the winning goal. But when it happens, there's no planning then. That just the emotion and the celebrations just take over, and all the lads were just into the corner. And I think obviously it meant a lot to the lads that had got the club up as well from the season before. It was just turned into a dream start, and I think we needed that game to kind of settle everything down and kind of make it our home, and we did that on that day, I think.
So obviously at the time, you scored 2 late goals and a late winner. The place has gone off. Everyone is obviously ecstatic.
Yeah.
How long did it take for you to realise the actual significance of that goal? The fact that, nearly 10 years later and we're talking about it?
Yeah. I think, it didn't sink in right away. It was just one of them where, obviously, any game where you score a winning goal late on, it's an unbelievable feeling. But I think I realised in the weeks after where people were still saying it and saying thank you to me and stuff like that when I was walking out, and it just kind of snowballed. The significance came the weeks and the years and the months that went by. It kind of was like, yeah, wow, people are still talking about that. And, for me, it's something that I'll always remember, do you know what I mean? And it's one of them things that's going to live with me forever. And, yeah, hopefully, for the Brighton fans, it's something that, you say things are written sometimes, and Brighton fans probably did deserve a start like that with what they went through and the years of, travelling here and, miles to go and see their own team playing at home ground that wasn't theirs and stuff like that. So, yeah, some things are meant to be, and I think that probably was one.
I know you're still playing, but so far in your career, do you think you have done anything at any other club that is as memorable to that club?
No, I think obviously the 3 years that I had there were, they were the best of my career. I enjoyed it so much, and even living in the area and stuff like that was, we still talk about it now, me and my family. So I think the club was just an unbelievable place, to play at. Everything was upbeat. The fans were never moaning about anything, even when we lost a few games, and because the expectation kind of rose through the season, and we wanted to get in the playoffs that first season. But it was just a joyous place to play at week in, week out, and yeah, like I say, definitely the most memorable kind of 3 years of my career, and obviously that day, the most memorable of my career, definitely.
And in 10 years' time, we can have this interview again because we'll still be talking about it.
I don't mind.
What I did, I remember you scoring loads of late goals. And actually, I've done some maths. So there you go. In your first season, you scored 8 goals. 88% of your goals in the first season were 70th minute or later. Is that because you can't be bothered for the first 70 minutes? Or...
Yeah, I don't know how that kind of came about. It was just, I think it's just one of the things where you go for a run of form, and maybe the way we played as a team, maybe that might have been a factor in it. We played a lot of possession football, and a lot of it was keeping the ball for a long period. So I've had experience of playing against teams like that, and it does tire you mentally and physically. So maybe that's when the game started opening up for us, and maybe that was the reason why we used to get more chances. But yeah, I can't explain that. Like I say, that's the season where everything was late goals, and again,
it was so meant that 7 of them. I think 4 or 5 of them were 90th minute plus as well.
It was ridiculous, really. And even like some players that I play against used to mention it. We used to see them anywhere and say, "You're scoring. What are you always doing 90th minute?" And all this. I'm like, I don't know. It's just one of the things that you just kind of just kind of happening, and it became a regular thing. And it's not a bad thing, is it? So yeah, it was great.
I mean, I looked at it. He scored 19 goals in total for the club. Obviously, you said that the first one against Doncaster was the sweetest strike you've ever done. The second one, obviously, the most significant. Is there any others that you remember scoring that really stand out during your time?
I always think, obviously, the Newcastle one, which didn't get given to me.
Outrageous.
And even to be fair, even when I scored it, I thought, was in my mind, I was thinking that's not going to get given to me. But obviously, it was looked like mine. But that was obviously a massive. It was another one of them days and one of them games, one of them atmospheres where it just it felt like it was meant to be. You know, like, I don't know, it was weird. The confidence you go into the game with was like, we're going to win this, and you know, we was playing a Premier League club, so that was up there with one of, you know, probably closely behind the first day. And then obviously every goal is an unbelievable feeling. Is obviously them, you know, the first day you're not going to touch that, but all the ones that come after it are kind of brilliant as well. So
There was the one against Blackpool. Do you remember that one at home?
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
And that was quite early on, so a bit rare.
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely. I remember that one. Cut inside from the kind of right hand side, step over, and barring in. And to be fair, barring in always look brilliant, don't they? So yeah, I remember that one.
Left-footed.
Yeah, left foot as well. Yeah, but I remember my nana was there that game. Actually, I remember that game. They used to sit kind of up at the top where we was, so they had a good view of it. To be fair, I can remember nearly every goal I scored for Brighton, so it's great.
So you were in the 2 seasons after the first season, so 2012-13, 13-14 under Oscar, and we got to the playoffs.
Yeah.
What's the difference between those two playoffs, as in the confidence going in and the results from your point of view? Obviously, we lost both, but very different kind of scenarios, weren't they?
Yeah. So obviously the first one, the Palace one, I think that was the second season, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, so while my second season there, I think that was the best team I think I'd played in, and the best team we had when I was there. We finished fourth. Was it third or fourth? We finished that. Was it fourth?
Oh, now ask me hard questions.
I know. I think it was fourth.
I think it was fourth, but I'm going to check it.
Yeah. And yeah, that year we kind of we easily got in the playoffs, and we was a bit in between. We easily got in the playoffs, but we never really felt like we could catch them top two. It was kind of in a bit of a weird position, really. But definitely that was the best team we had, I think, and the best opportunity I think we had of going up from my time that we was there.
We did finish fourth. I think it was our highest finish for something like 28, 29, maybe even 30 years. It was a real achievement that season. Yeah,
it was, and the team we had there and the players at the time were really in top form. And I think that's what you need sometimes. People, players go through your career and you have better patches at different clubs. And I think everyone at that time was kind of at the best point of the career. I think that they'd played, and the team was unbelievable. Obviously, the season after we snuck in the playoffs, didn't we, on the last game again. But I don't think, obviously, the team we had then weren't as strong as the year before. But again, you're in the playoffs, and that's all that kind of mattered, really. And I think going into the Palace one, I think obviously we drew the first game 0-0, and then everyone was like, "Oh, Brighton are going to win. They're all now. It's easy now." And I think that kind of probably put too much pressure on us in a way. Everyone was kind of, they're through. They're going to Wembley. They're easily going to beat Palace at home, and that wasn't the case. It was two good teams at the time, kind of 50-50. It's you're in the playoffs. It's even, isn't it? So yeah, I think there was a lot more pressure in the first one, and obviously being Palace, I think that puts even more pressure on the game. Bloody hell, I would have done anything to win that second leg, but it wasn't to be. But yeah, and then there's obviously the second year, Derby. I think Derby were a really strong team that year. I think the first leg we kind of did we go? I think we went 1-0 up, didn't we?
Yeah, Jesse Lingard scored.
Yeah, we went 1-0 up. I wasn't as confident going into them two games. You know, you have your confidence levels, and I believe we could win. But I thought these were a good team. When we went 1-0 up, I thought, you know what, this could be the year. And I think I remember just before half time, I think they got a penalty. Obviously scored, and that kind of changed the dynamic of the game.
Own goal. I'm pretty sure it was a Thomas Kuzak own goal the second one. It hit the bar and hit him.
Yeah, it was just after that, it just kind of went a bit downhill, and then obviously going into the second leg losing away from home was always going to be difficult, and I think it's kind of one of them days where nothing went right.
We were a little bit like I don't know if you watched the Sheffield Wednesday playoff in 2016 when we lost 2-0 and we had 4 injuries. It wasn't too dissimilar because actually at Derby we had a real makeshift defence body, and I think Greer had gone off injured.
Yeah.
Adam Chickson was at left back.
Yeah.
I can't remember who was in the centre, but I think Upson was missing as well.
Yeah. Is it Calderon? Calde's play centre half.
Calde, I think he actually did play centre half. Yeah. It was
nothing was going right, and obviously it's kind of from that we went 1-0 up and I thought, I really believe we can do this, and then I think we give a cheap penalty away where we were dominating, and then we just kind of let them back in the game, and then it all kind of swung from there. But yeah, I think they obviously finished higher than us in the league, and sometimes the teams that finish higher in the league are obviously throughout the season prove that they're a little bit stronger, and they was on that day, and obviously I think they deserve to kind of go to the final.
But whenever I speak to anyone from your kind of era, that playoff semi-final defeats Palace very much wrangles with them still.
Yeah, that was just a horrible feeling, kind of like a gut-wrenching feeling, I think, because it was Palace as well. I think obviously any semi-final where you want to get to Wembley and then have a chance of going up is really gutting to go out of, but the rivalry was just something else, especially that them early years, first years in the Amex was kind of it was scary actually. Some of the games there, the rivalry of the fans was just incredible. So you really wanted to do it.
We'd beaten them, hadn't we? We hadn't. I think they beat us at the Amex the first year. I think we drew up there. Then we went up there just before Christmas at the 2012-13. They comprehensively beat us 3-0. Yeah. Murray scoring, obviously. And then we beat them 3-0 at the Amex.
Yeah, we battered them at the Amex, on the return, So we knew we could beat them, yeah.
Do you think there was overconfidence going into that 2012-13 home leg?
Yeah, but more from the outside, from obviously other teams that were looking in on it. Maybe some Brighton fans obviously thought, because we were a good team and we probably were a better team than them. But second leg of the playoffs, it's going to be difficult, isn't it? So I don't think from the inside they weren't. From the players and that, we knew what kind of game it was going to be, and it turned out to be really close. And obviously they ended up scoring 2, didn't they, late on and making it 2-0. But the game was so close up until that first goal, and I think even after we went 1-0 down, we have a few cleared off the line with Barnsley, something like that, and it just felt like then it just weren't going to happen. You have them games where it just felt like it weren't going to go in then once we went 1-0 down. And
that goal seemed to suck the energy out of the stadium.
Yeah, it really. When you want to win a game that much, more than probably ever Brighton have wanted to win a game, and us as players, when you go 1-0 down like that, really, like I say, takes the energy away and the vibe of going on and winning the game.
During your time, you did have the odd hamstring trouble, didn't you? How frustrating was that? And did you get over that as you've gone further into your career?
Yeah, that was real frustration at times. Even at Brighton, where I played probably my best in my career, I was still having, like I say, 2 or 3 a season, which really just kind of just stop you in your tracks a little bit. Even though I was out for 3-4 weeks, it was always kind of them little 4-week kind of things where, you miss 5 or 6 games and it takes you 2 or 3 games to kind of get back up to where you was. So I think that was obviously a real frustration. And it was just as soon as it happened, I thought, I'm going to miss 3 or 4 games. Yeah, I'd look at the fixtures. I'm going to miss that game, and then it's going to take me a little bit to get back into my stride. And that obviously happened for probably all the time I was at Brighton. And it does take its toll and kind of stop you from getting to your best consistently. I think I had a good run of games at Brighton where I did hit my best form, but obviously it's probably a little bit frustrating that I couldn't kind of be available for every single game. But yeah, that's football. You kind of accept that when you go into playing football, that the way I played, it was probably inevitable that I was going to get probably one a season where you're pulling your hamstring. But I think just obviously when they started accumulating and kind of affecting going forward and getting to my best, that was probably the most frustrating thing. But no regrets about it. I don't think I could have done anything different either. It wasn't as if I was doing something where I thought, I look back and go, I could have been doing that. I think at the time I was doing everything I could, and probably just the way my body was at the time.
So when you look back, you said it was like your best part of your career.
Yeah.
So take the Doncaster game out, because that's the most obvious answer.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be necessarily a goal you scored or one you set up, but is there a moment that when you think back to Brighton, other than that Doncaster day, that really stands out in your head?
I think we remember playing Southampton at home. I think it was the first season, actually. I think we beat them 3-0.
Yeah. Matt Sparrow.
That was probably Spad. Yeah, that was probably one of my best performances without scoring a goal, without obviously scoring, or even I might not have even done an assist that game. But just my overall performance that day was good, and I always remember that one. And then other than that, it's probably all I remember. Just remember all my goals.
Selfish.
Yeah. When you look back, that's all you want to remember, innit? So I remember the Peterborough game where I scored 2. One was like a free kick where I kind of got a little bit lucky, actually. I think the wind kind of took it into the far corner. I just kind of whipped it into the box. Only regret, I always think about this game, and it was Huddersfield away, and I'd scored 2. It was 2-0 up at the time as well. And Will Hoskins put me through when I was 1-on-1. And I hit it right at the keeper, and I thought, what a chance that was for an hat-trick. And I always remember that game. I always remember missing that chance. It's really a weird thing to remember from all the other things I can remember, but I always remember that. But yeah, I think just in general,
in your career,
no, not professional.
That was the chance.
No.
So is that why it sticks there?
Yeah, maybe if I'd scored one since, it'd be like, it don't matter. But obviously, as a winger or midfielder, it's very rare you probably score hat tricks. But I remember that. But I think obviously just everything, the whole time, and all the games. There's been some great games where you just look back and think, we were so lucky to be involved in that and be part of all the club's history, and playing at that ground, playing at the Amex every week was just unbelievable anyway. So yeah.
And then it came to the departure. So it was at the end of, I think we all internally, like the media team, I think we kind of understood that you were probably going to leave.
Yeah.
But then it just seemed to go on all summer. And then you ended up actually playing, I think you came on as a sub against Sheffield Wednesday in the opening game.
Yeah.
When you were coming on in that game, did you know there's absolutely no way I'm going to be playing here again?
No, I don't think so. No. I think it was kind of, obviously everybody knew the interest of Gus and Sunderland, but obviously football transfers are a lot more complicated than I thought. I actually thought at first as well. So I was kind of coming on. I was kind of in limbo a little bit, not fully knowing where I was going to be. But I didn't know I was going to go. I wasn't 100% thinking, I'm going to go here, so it don't matter. I was kind of obviously hoping, it sounds bad, but I was hoping, because I wanted to play in the Premier League and challenge myself. So I was hoping that it was going to happen. But I think in the January before, obviously the summer, Sunderland had put a few bids in again. and that was close to happening. But obviously the club didn't want to let me go because they couldn't get a replacement in, which kind of happens a lot in January, which I obviously realised after the event. Obviously, I was again frustrated because I absolutely loved my time at Brighton, and to think back now that I wanted to leave was kind of, it does kind of get to me a little bit, but it was only because I wanted to play in the Premier League, and that's from being a kid, that's kind of what I'd aimed to do. And when you get that chance, I think you've got to take it. It might not come again, and obviously in the January it nearly happened. I kind of got my head back down, and you kind of do get distracted without really knowing it. I think it probably did distract me for a couple of weeks after that, but I think the way the club had been with me and stuff like that, they deserved for me to kind of give everything until that day did come where I ended up leaving. So, it only affected me for probably a week or two from the January, and like I say, that was close to happening. And then obviously it was a bit weird how it did happen in the end. It was kind of late on in the transfer window, I think, and the season had started, and I think it would have been a lot better if it would have got sorted a bit earlier, and then it would have kind of took all the talk away from, distracting what was going on the pitch, really.
Do you think people like yourself get unfairly criticised when they are given the opportunity to go and play in the Premier League, and then they say, "Well, yeah, I want to," and then obviously a lot of criticism does come in. People say, "Why would you want to leave ours?" And people are disappointed. What do you think about that? Do you think it's unfair, or do you think it's valid?
I think you can say it's valid from a fan's point of view. It's, as a player, you look at it a little bit different. I've been a fan. I was an Oldham fan growing up, and you never want your best players to leave. And if they do go, oh, they're just going for the money or whatever kind of thing, and you kind of just throw away comments. But I think obviously we look at, as you get older, you kind of realise a bit more that your career is short, and when you get an opportunity to do what you've always wanted to do, you've kind of got to be selfish in a way. But I think it's the way you do it as well. Some players, who've been treated well by clubs and fans, then maybe go about it in the wrong way. But I don't think I ever went about it in the wrong way. I never put a transfer request in. I never stopped training. I never kind of threw my dummy out or anything. I kind of carried on and did my best what I could. Maybe I was distracted a little bit, but it's probably it's kind of just a general thing that happens really when your head's getting turned, I think. But yeah, as long as you do it in the right way and you're not forcing something that isn't kind of the right thing to be doing. Obviously, these days you see players probably going about it in the wrong way and being a bit disrespectful to clubs that have treated them well. But I think everyone at the club kind of maybe behind the scenes more understood my decision and what was going on. But obviously, as fans, you just want to see your best players play, and you should probably feel a bit disappointed if players don't want to stay with you. Like you say, it was just one of them things where, obviously being Gus as well, he knew what I could do and what I did for Brighton, and it was the right move for me at the time. And yeah, obviously, it's the fans they're going to have their opinions, but I think now we'll probably look back and go, yeah, maybe he was right to leave and stuff like that. But like I say, fans you're going to want to support your club to the day you die. I think players move on and come and go, don't they? Fans are with a club forever, so they've got a right to kind of think what they want and have their opinion on what they see is going on, really. And probably from the outside, they could only see, oh, Will wants to leave, kind of thing. And obviously, there's more to it than that. But thankfully, Brighton have gone on to do good things as well, now. So it's not that regrettable that I did leave.
So do you actually look back on your career and think, I'm really glad I took that decision and went to Sunderland and followed the path I have? Or do you look back and think, oh, maybe I should have stayed at Albion a little bit longer? Where do you sit with that now?
No, I think it was the right decision at the time. And I don't regret it, one bit. Not in a way against Brighton, because the 3 years I had there, like I say, was the best in my career. But the opportunity was there to play in the Premier League, and I got that, and I did that. You know, in football, you never know what's going to happen. You know, obviously, Brighton did end up going to the Premier League after I went. But you can't, you know, if I would have stayed, maybe something different might have happened. You never know, do you? So, like I say, when that opportunity comes to do the thing you've always wanted to do, I think you've got to kind of take it and kind of not look back with any regrets. And no, I don't regret it, not one bit. You know, some of my friends and family go, now, you know, that I probably don't know that much about football. Oh, I bet you wish you stayed at Brighton, don't you? And I don't, only because I kind of went at the right time. Obviously, I'd love to be there now; it'd be brilliant. But you know, my time was brilliant there. You know, I wouldn't trade my 3 years kind of for anything, or even for any longer, because you never know what's going to happen in the future, do you? So the 3 years that I was playing at my best football, remembered by the fans for being, you know, a great player, hopefully. So yeah, no, I don't regret that at all. No.
Since you've left, what's the kind of biggest low you've had? And also on the more positive aspects, what's been the biggest high since you've left?
The biggest high was probably straight away playing in the Premier League for Sunderland, making my full home debut against Man United, where obviously I'm kind of from Manchester area, and all my mates being United fans. That was unbelievable, an unbelievable day. We drew 1-1 United, the first game of the season, first home game of the season. Sorry, and I think obviously, you know, playing in the Premier League for the first time is probably the highlight of after leaving Brighton. For lows, I don't know really. I think you just kind of remember all the highs, don't you? And try and blank out the lows. But
I've never seen you as a particularly negative person in any kind of way around the training ground. No,
I don't think I ever dwell on stuff for too long. I don't think it's probably the right thing to do. I think you got to look at positive things, and like I say, probably getting relegated with Bolton from the Championship weren't a great feeling, and you know, looking, you know, at the fans and what it meant to them, and kind of the heartache they went through wasn't nice. But yeah, like I say, and the football goes on, and then you've got to kind of, you know, fans are going to be there forever, no matter what division you're in, and they're going to love a club, you know, wherever they have to travel to. You know, Brighton showed that. But I think you've got to look at the positives in football. It's a short career, and to look back at the years I had at Brighton was one of the things where I'm just lucky. I'm lucky that that's happened to me in my career. You know, some players might go through the career where they don't have, you know, spells like that, but I've had an unbelievable time at Brighton, and just kind of grateful that, you know, it's happened to me. And like I say, I'm still talking to you 10 years on.
And you will be in 10 years. Maybe not me, but someone.
Like I say, it's unbelievable to still be remembered at a club for doing something. Is, you know, it's a rare thing. So I'm proud of that.
Well, I've got a bone to pick because you didn't remember me when I texted you. So,
I remember your face now.
Oh yeah. Save face now. So yeah, your goal was. I'm not memorable, but your goal was.